institutions in the state of Maryland are drawing from the same pot of money. And at the end of the day, we all need money to be able to fund our innovative teaching programs. We need money to be able to fund campus beautification. We need money to be able to fund mental health programs, and we need money to be able to fund campus life. What the USM institution does, what the System Council does, is really advocate for all of the students in the state of Maryland. And that's something we want to be a part of, that's something we want to remain a part of, and be one of the people who are setting the legislative priorities for the USM.
Thank you. Arash? Real quick, last thing I wanted to touch on. I know Ganesh said it's not a zero-sum problem, and he's right. But I also think realistically you have to understand there's a limited amount of resources, there's a limited amount of money. So when you're lobbying against the lobby effectively, you need to identify that really College Park is trying to take resources, other campuses are too. So while you're trying to work in conjunction with them, you also have to protect your own interests.
So we've heard quite a bit about visibility, so our next question focuses on that, but it's, so what specific ways, what do you think your SGA can do to make itself more visible to the student body here at UMBC? And we'll start with Hamza, and then we'll come back to Arash and then to Max.
So like I said before, I'm currently the coordinator of communications. So what I do is I work with my UMBC, Facebook, Twitter about getting things out there. Now, I understand that not everyone looks at the internet all the time, and that, you may not see a status that I post or anything like that. But, over the past year that I've been coordinator of communications, there's been a significant increase. The amount of calls we get, the amount of comments, the amount of shares and of statuses and retweets and whatever it is. The fact that people see that is, making progress, and we want to continue that. We want to make sure that we try everything until something works. And if it's posting on my UMBC so that everyone can see it, then so be it. We need to get the visibility out there, and that's what we're working on.
And the coolest thing that we're excited about is bringing SGA to you. In conversations that we've had with the student body, they said, I have to go to SGA. I'm like, no, this SGA will come to you next year. We have in place an infrastructure that we're referring to as the student org delegates. That means every single member of the SGA is going to attend a meeting of BSU, of ASK, of Lambda Chi Alpha, and communicate to them, this is what the SGA has been working on for the past month. This is what the SGA is planning on doing. These are some issues that are affecting the system, and these are some issues that are going to be affecting us with the community leaders. Do you want to get involved? And this is our opportunity to put a face to an organization, because we don't believe that students should be coming to the SGA office on the second floor. The SGA should be sending its representatives to the students.
So this really falls in line with the share.
Actually, it's if you want to go, you can go.
No, you go.
Alright.
Order. I was confused.
So basically what we want to do is, I think you're doing it wrong if you're focusing on social media. Social media is a big part of student life, but if you're focusing on UMBC's Twitter accounts, social media, that doesn't really have that much visibility. I think if you look at the followers, it's something like 100, 200 at best sometimes. I know Fine Arts is like 2,000, but mostly 100, 200 average, and there's 10,000 students here. So what I want to focus on is really door-to-door efforts. I think Hamza touched on it. So going out and bringing the SGA to people. So going out to them, making SGA more visible, showing students, talking about it at honors orientation, new students orientation, getting freshmen involved early. I think that's the key. Because at this point, it's juniors, seniors are already checked out at this point, they're just going to leave. Where you're going to get the most engagement out of students is when they come in early. So what we want to focus on if we win is we want to focus on getting the students early, setting up booths, setting up people, telling them what SGA is about, and really making it more accessible for freshmen and sophomores to join, rather than relying on social media and tweets, stuff like that. I don't think that's effective at all.
And like Arash said, to be more visible, I think we need to talk to students one-on-one. So right now, SGA has something called Free Hour, which is when SGA leaders go around for 1 hour a week and they talk to students about their views and their concerns. I think that needs to be an everyday thing to really get students' perspectives.
So there are a few things that we want to do that really fall in line with our whole share insight philosophy for SGA. The first thing is every piece of communication that comes out of the SGA, whether it's through Senate, through Finance Board, through an executive department, needs to have a comprehensive plan. We need everything going out through one source so that we have consistency. The most important thing to build a good and strong relationship with the student body is to have a consistent approach, which means making sure that everything is up to a great standard. Melissa's done a good job of that thus far, but it needs to be more comprehensive next year. Furthermore, this whole boots on the ground approach is essential. We want to implement an hour every week, possibly during free hour, where people who are responsible for knowing everything about what's going on in SGA and in departments around campus will speak one-on-one with students so that they can answer any questions about getting an initiative done or whatever problems they seek with the campus. That allows for students to have a face-to-face perspective that allows for them to actually understand what's going on, as opposed to having to go and get the context, which might not be available online, to understand the dialogues that are currently happening. The last part is taking a comprehensive approach with res life and faculty members. The Breaking Ground initiative has been amazing because it's opened up civic engagement to many aspects of the community. But we really need to reach students in the classrooms whether we have students that are not being involved with current involvement initiatives, because that's how they become aware of the unique community here at UMBC. And with Res Life, we get them at home. So we can reach out to students where they sleep and where they study to have a more comprehensive and effective visibility approach.
You get a rebuttal, 30 seconds.
I think all this talk really does sound good, but Melissa's been in charge of communications for a year now, and Max has been in Senate for a year, so I wanted to, I'm sure they'll raise their rebuttal cards too, but I wanted to ask them, in the coming years, I think everyone agrees that it's better to have more people in SGA. SGA is inclusive, that it has an open door policy, but how can you really reach out to students and get them to want to come out, is my question.
Rebuttal Hamza is first, 30 seconds.
Like we said, we want to bring SGA to the student body. That means we're attending meetings, we're going to student organization meetings, we're going to CAB meetings, and we're informing the student body, and we're informing each and individual student from the SGA president down to the last staff member on registration. We go out and we communicate the work that the SGA is doing, we communicate what issues are arising in the community, and we work to help the student body align their passion, and we work to align that with action.
Max and Ganesh, 30 seconds.
So basically, I'd like to say that senators are required to conduct an hour of outreach with a buddy every week. And it was kind of a structure that was not working up until Valerie and I retooled it, and now it's working. So, that's just one thing that Senate does, and that's what we've done as assistant speaker. But,
The most effective strategy in this case is really going to be reaching out to students that aren't already involved in these organizations, because they're the people that need more information now.
Okay, thank you very much. So our next question comes to us from the audience. What would the composition of your executive branch look like? Any new departments or revisiting old ones?
All right. So for the executive branch, I think it's very well structured. What I'd be looking into is having a chief of staff position. I already have an idea of who I want to fill it, where they would be coordinating and facilitating interactions between all the different departments. Because there are some redundancies right now, for example, where one department, health and wellness, is doing something and then they promote their own activities instead of going through communications. There's some redundancies there. So we want every department to work with each other, not work against each other, work around each other, but work with each other, which is kind of what's going on now. There wouldn't be too many changes in the executive department. I think it's very well structured, but we'd flesh it out, streamline it a bit.
So I think the most important aspect of our executive branch is a quality over quantity approach. Right now, as unfortunate as it is, we have a large SGA with many people that some of whom do not find the leadership that they need to learn what they need to do to pursue an initiative. So the first thing that we want to have is a training branch, so that when you enter the SGA, you have to go through a certain amount of training to learn how to talk about SGA, to make sure we have solid visibility, and that people actually understand what we do on a day-to-day basis. Who you need to talk to if you want to work on an initiative or try and change something on campus, and how to really structure an initiative. An important part of this will also be learning about how to interact with the rest of the university system of Maryland to have a comprehensive idea of what it means to be a member of the SGA. We also want to have as many departments as we have effective leadership. I think that right now, if we don't have enough people to effectively manage departments, because it just is a reality that with students, some of us may be too busy to effectively carry out these positions, then we shouldn't be having 7 departments. We should be having just enough so that we have effective leadership, because an effective manager will lead to more change than a bunch of ineffective managers working for little goals. So we want to have a consistent SGA, because if we don't, we're never going to have that good relationship with the student body. One failure does 10 times more harm than one success in the eyes of a student that isn't involved with the organization. So we need consistency first if we want to develop that relationship that creates the SGA as an integrated part of the entire community. Because remember, every student is a member of the SGA if only 150 of them are part of the active organization.
I've been part of the executive branch for 2 years now, and so I know that, we do have a lot of departments and they do a lot of work. Something we want to work on is getting them to talk to each other. We have exec meetings where we update each other and say, hey, well, if you're doing this, I have this great idea that maybe we can collaborate together on. Something with the communications department, though, it's new. I think first year we had it was last year, and we're still trying to integrate all the departments to use the communications department. So now we're having academic affairs, health and wellness, we're getting back on with them. Environmental affairs is very friendly with us. Everything we do for the other departments. They want our help, we're there to help them.
Our philosophy is that people are intrinsic leaders. That means if somebody wants to get involved in shaping their community, they have the absolute right to. And that means SGA is a conduit for them in shaping their community and getting involved with their community. If a member of the community wants to say, I want to focus on more sustainable action, we're going to provide them with that opportunity to connect with our Department of Environmental Affairs. If somebody on the community says, we want to see a greater involvement down in Annapolis and more importantly in Washington, D.C., that means we coordinate with the Director of Community and Government Relations and empower them to get in action and to align their passion and change the world. We believe in people to be able to do that, and we want to make SGA the most inclusive body on campus. Whether you're a resident, whether you're a commuter, whether you're a traditional or non-traditional student, you have the right to shape your community, and we see SGA as enforcing that right.
Okay, rebuttal, I see Max. 30 seconds.
So in the past, we've made a lot of attempts to have individuals from each department write reports and translate information through text. That hasn't worked because it's often too much to ask every single member of the SGA to do the work by themselves to communicate. So what we want to do is have a branch of the SGA that has members that are responsible for knowing everything that's going on. And they consult with individuals from other departments so that when they want to know who they should reach out to collaborate and work together, they can do that. And we don't have to go past the struggle of trying to get written reports that has been a failure this year.
Arash and Jeffrey?
I feel like when we place people in different departments, we need to put them in departments they actually care about. For example, environmental affairs. If we put some guy in environmental affairs, he doesn't care at all about the environment or teaching people how to practice more environmental practices and stuff like that, then basically nothing's going to get done. So we need to put people in places that they care about.
Alright, quick thing, Yasmin's in environmental affairs right now, she's doing a great job. That was just a hypothetical.
Yeah.
One more thing, real quick, that I want to touch on is, it's great to say you want to have people that know everything that's going on in SGA, but ultimately you need to have people that have been in each department meet up and talk face to face. Nothing can replace that.
As a member who's running, who has executive branch experience, we have those face-to-face conversations every 2 weeks. We talk about what's working in our departments, what's not working, how can we get more people involved in what we're doing, and how can we get this out there. I think something that we could work on is maybe restructuring communications, maybe getting communications to be those people who know everything. And I think that would probably help.
Great. So we are running a little low on time, but we do have one last question, and that is, each campaign has a slogan, whether it's Unite UMBC, Reignite UMBC, or Are You Satisfied? Explain what your slogan says about you as candidates and how it represents your vision for SGA. And I believe we'll start with Max and Ganesh, go to Hamza and Melissa, and then finish with Arash and Jeffrey.
So Unite UMBC as an idea is something that Max and I are really proud of because it's about ownership of the campus that we're a part of. At UMBC, we have all of these great communities, vibrant communities of people that are organized around the things that actually matter to them. We're authentic people that attend this university. We don't do things because, as a generality, we don't do things because we feel it'll make us more popular or more well-liked by somebody else. We do things because they genuinely matter to us. What's a shame is these are communities that are sometimes